I meant to fit out a little sooner, but that's okay. Welcome back to another episode of the LoudMouth MMA Podcast. This is MMA Yesterday. I'm your host, Kyle Steele. That is our new intro music, but that music is definitely not new. It is the, if you haven't been, I hope you're following along, but just in case you're not, that is the old intro music. Whenever the fighters would walk out, that is what they would play. And, it's grown on me. The more I've listened to it, the more it's grown on me. I remember when I first heard it, back in, I guess, UFC 1, I just thought it was so goofy sounding, but, it's all right. It's not too bad. Joining me, per usual, is Mr. Keith Schillen. Hello, Keith.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, living the dream. We're living in a post-UFC 41 world now.
There you go. We are in the new era. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there's a new champion on the scene.
Here it is, baby. And
champion. I mean, with the champion of champions, the people's champion.
Now, listen. It's because the man's from Maine. That is the only thing that.
Oh, we already gave it away now. Not like it didn't happen 18 years ago, but
yeah. But a spoiler alert. Let me give you the pertinent information about the fight card, and then again we'll do our kind of pre-card stuff or whatever. Any little weird things that happen in between the cards that have nothing to do with the fights, we'll talk about that up front because I kind of find that stuff to be more interesting anyway. And then we'll get into the fight card itself. So, of course, this is UFC 41. It is called Onslaught, which I'm interested in where that name came from. They did that thing where they, when they're introducing the card, they always have to use the name of the card to try to describe something. So I don't remember what they did this time. I remember thinking it was funny, thinking like, wow, you really jammed that word in there to make it work. But I don't remember what Goldie said. But UFC 41 Onslaught. This took place February 28th, 2003. It was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in the Boardwalk Hall. I believe inside some Trump building. I don't know which one, but inside of a Trump building.
Not the White House.
Not the White House, but inside of a Trump building in 2003. Buy rate was 60,000. The attendance was 13,401. Notables, you have the return of Tank Abbott, which I want to talk about that. Again, not just the fight, but I want to talk about kind of the buildup of Tank Abbott being there. And I assume you noticed, not only was Trump's name, of course, on the canvas and on the wall, because why not? But did you see who else's name was on the canvas?
No, I didn't notice the canvas that much.
Tank Abbott.
Oh, there you go.
They had his name on the canvas.
Yeah, they were going over the top. You know where he was coming from?
I don't.
WCW.
Really? I guess that's why. I guess that is why they were really.
But unlike Ken Shamrock went to WWF and became like a star, and then their counter thing. I think they had. I know Dan Severn went over to one of them. I think Dan Severn went over to WWF too, but it might have been WCW. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm not a wrestling guy. I swear, I feel like I have to say this every single week.
Right.
But Tank Abbott went to WCW. And he just was like, he was, obviously a character, but he was a lesser down in the card. He wasn't wrestling for titles like Ken Shamrock was and stuff.
But a name nonetheless. A name nonetheless.
Yeah.
And but they just went so hard on Tank Abbott coming back. And we'll get to the fight, and once we get to the fight, we'll talk more about how hard they went on Tank Abbott. And kind of
like the entire promotion. The entire promotion for the co-main event was Tank Abbott and Frank Mir.
His walkout too. Tank Abbott's walkout compared to everybody else's. We had 2 title fights on this card.
Bigger than all of them.
Yeah. His walkout, they shut all the house lights down.
He got the off the lights treatment.
They shut the whole house lights down. And, Bruce Buffer, instead of just introducing it, he goes on to a monologue.
But
Bruce Buffer monologues.
First, it was Mike Goldberg talking about he's one of the greatest fighters, legendary fighters, and this and that.
It's wild. And then Bruce Buffer, house lights go down, and Bruce Buffer starts monologuing about Tank Abbott and introduces
the return.
Then he walks out. This is what's crazy, though, Keith. He walks out, and immediately I go, oh, he's prohibitively old. I know I just said this about Ken Shamrock last week, but like for real this time. He has a long gray beard. I'm like, he is prohibitively old.
He looks like a character from Sons of Anarchy.
Bro.
But not like one of the guys who are in shape. Like, who was the fat guy in Sons of Anarchy that was like in the team?
I never saw Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, well, anyways, there's like a short fat guy that could have been like Tank Abbott could have just replaced that guy.
How old are you, Keith?
I am old enough.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
38. Okay. So you are 1 year older than Tank Abbott was when he walked down that ramp.
Yeah. No,
How
Tank Abbott.
Crazy is that?
Tank Abbott would absolutely crush my face in a heartbeat. Still now, probably. I mean, I don't know. He's looking really rough now. Maybe not now, but 37-year-old Tank Abbott would crush my face in. That said,
he looks.
I look better than Tank Abbott.
He looks 62. I mean, and I know I said all this about Frank Shamrock last week, or Ken Shamrock last week. I know, and I'm sorry that I'm repeating 2 episodes in a row, but it's true nonetheless. Ken Shamrock looked old as shit at UFC 40, and Tank Abbott looked even older. I don't know how.
But Tank looked old at UFC 6 when he made his debut.
When he was like 32 or something,
7 years earlier or something like that.
I guess he's like 30, and he looked old as shit then. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
I mean, the guy whose pastime is to hang out at the bar and drink and then pick bar fights.
Yes,
probably not. It's like that is right up there with how to stay young with creams and yoga and like it's right there.
He did reference bar fighting in his post fight, but we'll get to that.
If you can't put lotion and do yoga, then go to the bar and pick fights and get drunk.
Exactly. Our commentators on this card, of course, was Goldie, and then you also had Ken Shamrock. I like the 2-man booth a lot better than the 3-man booth. Certainly back then. Now we've kind of perfected it, so it's okay. But back then they didn't know how to do it. So the 2-man booth is a much better option. I think Ken Shamrock did a pretty good job. What I didn't like about Ken Shamrock, he just wasn't excitable. He really just was level the whole time.
Except for when Tank came out. He was loving Tank.
Listen, everybody loves Tank. It's just the whole card existed for Tank Abbott. We're lucky that wasn't the main event. We're lucky they didn't pull Bellator and just put title fights and then just put that up top.
But it was the main event. But so Tank Abbott got by far the biggest pop. You know who I think got the second biggest pop, which is crazy? Matt Lindland.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, the crowd was loving Matt Lindland.
I wonder if it was just because Phil Baroni had he was the bad guy.
But think about it. This is a guy who's from Long Island. We'll get into this, but Phil Baroni's from Long Island, New York, and they're fighting in Atlantic City, which is right next to
you'd think he'd have all the fans.
You'd think he would be. Listen, both me and you are on the same. I love Phil Baroni. Even in a loss, I love Phil Baroni.
Love him. Love him.
So we haven't talked about, and I know you're really excited to talk about this. You mentioned the 2-man booth, but you haven't talked about the third partner in the commentary team.
What is her name again? Lisa Durgan?
Lisa Durgan, former Playboy model.
I mean, listen, she's fine as hell. She's dressed like Carmen Electra.
I like that.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Listen, we gave so much shit to James Wormy on this podcast as we were going through that
Which
process.
we got to get into, by the way.
I know. We still are. It's just been on hold for a while.
Yeah.
But we gave so much shit to James Wormy. I mean, just crazy amounts. And then,
But we still love him, though.
Still absolutely love him.
It's like the friend that you make fun of, but you absolutely love that person.
Yeah, and understanding, he was kind of thrusted, especially after I talked to him on the phone. We didn't record it or anything, but I talked to him on the phone for probably 2 hours, and we really got into a lot of this stuff. And finding out from him, that wasn't his job. He kind of got thrusted into doing that, and just made the best of it. And when you look at it from that perspective, he really didn't do a bad job. especially if you're now comparing what James Wormy did to what the shit show that Lisa Durgan just put on. That was, I mean, and maybe I'm going too hard in the paint, but that was atrocious.
Listen, I'm going to give the UFC a pass because every MMA organization has done this.
They're just honeypotting. They're honeypotting.
You take hot chick, give her a mic, and just let her go. I am not referring to Megan O'Leary, Karen Bryan. They're both hot.
Who's the other one? Who's the other one?
Who?
Who's the other one? The one that does the backstage at for Dana White contender.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of? Laura.
Yeah. Laura Sanko.
There it is.
There's a fourth girl too.
So Laura Sanko is like,
they're all talented.
That's a girl who is just gorgeous.
So
prettier than Lisa Durgan, but
we're not saying
is incredible.
We're not saying those girls got their job because they're hot.
No, they're phenomenal.
Doesn't hurt, but they're journalists. They're talented. I shouldn't say journalists, but they're broadcasters.
They're on their personalities.
They've gone to school. They're experienced. Yeah. No. But every organization at one time is given a hot chick and goes, "You're hot. There's a lot of men in the audience. This should work." And
you saw that in the NFL before they kind of brought Aaron Andrews in. Like where they were just putting people on the sideline. They're like, "Let me see your tits. All right, perfect. Get out there on the sideline. Let's talk about some football." And they were all terrible. And then they finally bring in like Aaron Andrews, who again, total package, gorgeous, but is also phenomenal at her job, right? So they like.
There's a lot of women like that.
Yeah. So this isn't like a bashing.
We're not being sexist at all.
No.
Megan O'Leary's fantastic. Karen Bryan's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just
Laura Sanko's fantastic.
There are
Who
instances.
Was the other girl?
I can't remember.
Very beautiful. Whatever. Marcel's probably, if he listens to this, he'd get it in a heartbeat. But
every organization, I agree.
I know you so well. That the second they showed Lisa Durgan, I said, we're going to spend a whole lot of time on Lisa Durgan. We're going to spend way more time on Lisa Durgan than we are going to on like the main event.
Right. Yeah. Because it was just I'm watching this going, because my wife was watching with me too. And we were watching it and I was just like, why are they doing this? I'm like, she's terrible, right? Because I was wondering if maybe I was being sexist and just being like, am I just crazy? Like, she's terrible at this, right? And like, I was watching my buddy Joe and just he was on the couch and she's like, yeah, no, she's horrendous. Like, this is awful. I'm like, okay, cool. I want to make sure I'm not crazy.
I would love some regional promotion to do that, but just go over the top. Like, all right, we want the really hot chick, but just like own it and go like, oh yeah, you're not gonna wear clothes. You're gonna wear this bikini while you interview. Just go with it.
Just lean into it. If because that's what you're doing anyway.
Or have the ring card girl like do the interview afterwards.
Yeah, you're using this person as a honeypot. We all know that that's what you're doing. So just lean into it. Whatever. If you're gonna do it, do it. Don't like dip your toe in the water and pretend like that's not what you're doing. We all know that's what you're doing. So just go all in.
Yeah,
that's the motto of my Keith. You are very aware. My motto for the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network and also in my personal life is just don't half-ass things. Just either do it or don't do it.
The kid at the side of the pool, you push him in. Yeah,
that's it, man. Just get
some
in
background.
There,
I always like to do this on this card. We had 5 people who at one time in their career held a UFC title on the card. We also had 6 people who challenged for a UFC title.
Okay, there you go.
So
I can name most of them.
Okay, so I'm not gonna name. I didn't write them down, but
okay.
Screw it. I'm gonna pull up the card. So the 5 people that at one time held, obviously Rico Rodriguez
and Tim Sylvia, Frank Mir, BJ Penn.
There's one more. Matt Serra was on the card.
Yes, Matt Serra was on the prelims. And then who fought for the title? Are you counting those people?
But did not win. There were 6 of them.
Are you counting those people, or
I'm sorry, what? Not counting people who've actually won the title.
All right, so I'm going to guess Yves Edwards has fought for the title at some point.
That is incorrect.
Wow. Okay, Gan McGee for sure.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Pedro Hizzo.
Yes.
Uh,
And this is counting the person, not the individual shots, because his or had multiple shots.
Matt Lindland.
Yep, that's 3.
Cal Uno.
That's 4. Tank Abbott.
I was going to say Tank Abbott, but I was trying to think if that was actually
he
one.
went against Maurice Smith.
And then, there it is. And then number 6.
I'll give you a hint. This one's the infamous fight that went to Black. When he fought for the title, the card went too long, and the fight went to Black. Like that when they didn't have.
No, I know what you're talking about, but
I had a set time.
I don't know who it is though. Tell me.
Vladimir Matchenko.
I was goddamn. I could have had this whole thing because that's who I was going to say. Also, this is so annoying.
Well, there wasn't many options left.
I know, but I could have had. I had all of it. I just didn't trust it. I didn't want to sound stupid, so I didn't say Tank Abbott. I didn't say Vladimir Matchenko.
There's 16 fighters on the card. 11 of them were the correct answers. 5 were wrong.
And I knew it wasn't Dean Thomas. I knew it wasn't Rich Clemente. I knew it wasn't Alexander Dantes. I knew it wasn't those 3, so kind of limited it.
Phil Baroni never got a shot.
And I kind of assumed Phil Baroni never got a shot, so I guess
But honestly, he's the best ever.
Listen, he has a shot into my heart.
But speaking of best ever, you said Ken Shamrock did an okay job or good job.
It wasn't good. It just wasn't like bad.
Listen, you are the new host of Last One Standing. Unless somehow I can get Ken Shamrock to do it, then you're replaced. And the reason why, I don't want Ken Shamrock because I think he'd do that good job. I just want Ken Shamrock to host that show because he just gives out titles that are just not true, and he always boosts you up. For example, he kept calling BJ Penn the champ. Like you got to beat the champ. BJ Penn wasn't the champion. They were fighting for a vacant title.
Right.
He kept calling Matt Lindland Olympic silver medalist, Matt Lindland Olympic gold medalist. I just want him to introduce me instead of being like writer for Sure Dog, Cage Press, be like writer for Life magazine and Time magazine, exactly. Keith Schilling. Writer for the New York Times, Keith Schilling.
There it is.
That's it. I just want to give me titles that just didn't exist.
How did you feel about the? I can't remember his name, and I know he's on multiple cards. But the guy from USA Today, that sets the betting lines.
Yeah,
and how first of all how dead wrong he was. It's so funny.
He's like the first fight. It's like, well, it's actually the last fight of the night. But he's like first fight. Yeah,
and he has him as a 5-1 favorite. Then he has BJ Penn knocking out Cal Uno, which obviously didn't happen. There was something else too that he had. They showed the whole.
I don't give the betting guys too much of a hard time because that's a hard job, and everyone's going to be wrong. It's like the people who will when Mel Kiper said that Jamarcus Russell is going to be like a Hall of Fame quarterback and people give him shit. Well, when you make bets, you make predictions on every NFL player, you're going to get things wrong.
Yeah, but how many things has Mel Kiper been absolutely right about?
But he was absolutely right about Peyton Manning over Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like all these things that he saw that people didn't agree with. So, yeah, it's like you take the –
you're going to miss some.
Yeah. You get 9 things right, and then the one thing you get wrong, that's all you ever hear about.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. All right, let's start going through the card, shall we?
Why don't you do the prelims because there was 2 that didn't air. First was Gamma McGee knocking out Alexandre Dantes in the first round.
Not aired. And then you have
a controversial one.
Yes, you have a weird one. So you have Dean Thomas defeating Matt Serra. However, in the octagon, they announced that Matt Serra won and have to tell Dean Thomas backstage, and of course Matt Serra, that a referee had transposed. Because, to be fair, whenever I look at Dean Thomas and Matt Serra, it's really hard to tell which is which. they look almost identical.
But hey, the cool thing, they fought each other. These guys,
they're friends now.
They did the TV show with Dana White.
Yeah, looking for a fight. Dean Thomas is replaced Nick the Tooth.
Nick the Tooth. There you go.
There it is.
And Nick the Tooth, the newest member of LoudMouth MMA. We haven't announced it yet.
Well, I'd love that. I love that guy. That'd be great. Let's make it happen.
Let's get James Wormy.
I seriously.
Imagine if James. Not only do we.
Do you think he'll do it? I think he might do it.
We've been trying to get James Wormy on the network, but not even just get him on the internet. We just get him to host the show,
dude.
Like story times with James Wormy.
The Wormy Hour.
MMA stories. He does MMA stories for like 3 months worth of shows, and he just runs out of, and then just starts telling. The rest of the time is him just telling stories of what he's done for the last 20 years.
Seriously, yeah. Like I'm down. If there was a show on our network called The Wormy Hour, I would take this network so much more seriously. I'd be like, all right, like we're gonna start. I'm gonna set aside $10,000 just to pump into advertising. Like, let's just make this work.
That's it. Joe Rogan Experience. You better watch out.
We got the Wormy Hour.
It's all over.
We got the Wormy Hour, baby.
You're going down, brother. Joe Rogan, you're going down.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So Yves Edwards fought Rich Clemente.
I did not watch it.
So this was a fight where it's one of those fights where as you're watching it, as it goes along, it just becomes more and more and more and more apparent that one guy is just so much better than the other. This fight wasn't like a beat down or anything like that. I mean, one guy clearly won, and then he wound up getting a submission. But even if he hadn't, he was going to win all 3 rounds anyway with Yves Edwards. Yves Edwards defeating Rich Clemente. But it was just like, you're like, oh, these guys are in 2 different planes of existence. I mean, Yves Edwards is just so much better, so much crisper. He's faster. He has better cardio. He has better striking. He has better takedowns. He's just all the way around. He's just better. And you see that quite a bit, right? Where you're just like, oh, God, these guys should not be fighting each other. You know, one guy is just so much worse than the other. And this was an example of that. So other than that, it was a perfectly fine fight. I don't know what to say. I don't know why they didn't just show the Gann McGee fight, but I guess they had more time. So they wanted to have a longer fight, but they didn't want to probably do Matt Dean Thomas.
Not the controversial one.
Yeah, so they're like, all right, we'll just go with this one because it's almost as long. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But Yves Edwards is phenomenal. He's very, very good, and you see this here, and I know he'll continue to be good. First fight of the main card, we had Vladimir Matyshenko taking on Pedro Hizzo. Fight goes to a decision. Matyshenko wins. Question, at the time, was it something that you expected, or was Hizzo still, really touted as, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
was this fight result kind of obvious at the time?
Upset? This is going to be the perfect way to start off the show. I don't remember. Sorry.
Remember? Okay, cool.
I don't really remember. So can I do this? This is the worst fight on the card, main card. Can 100%. I just do this? Can I just blast you the play-by-play real quick?
Yeah, do it.
And then we just move on.
Yep.
So Matyshenko comes out. He shoots for a takedown, can't get it, but he grabs double overhooks. Nice, beautiful lateral drop. Briefly has the back. Gets on top of Pedro Hizzo. Ground and pounds him a little bit. Hizzo scrambles to his feet. Matyshenko takes him down again with the double overhooks. Ground and pounds. End around. Easy round, Vladimir Matyshenko. Second round. He fakes a shot, lands a nice left hook. He goes for a lateral drop, misses it, ends up on bottom. He's able to scramble back to his feet. They stop the action for a cut on Matyshenko's face. Then Matyshenko takes Hizzo down with a perfectly timed double leg. Ground and pounds him. For some reason, the referee stood him up. Well, I thought it was very premature.
Oh, there was a worse stand-up than that, and everybody was praising the ref.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to that later because one guy almost lost the fight because of it. Matyshenko gets another – as soon as they send him up, Matyshenko goes back down. Hizzo went for takedown, and Matyshenko reversed it and on top and landed some ground and pound round over. Another round, in my opinion, pretty easy for Matyshenko. Third round, Hizzo starts off throwing some leg kicks, but then he gets taken down by Matyshenko, some ground and pound. Another surprisingly quick stand-up from Larry Landless. And then the back of the feet, not much time left, and Pedro Hizzo does nothing. He doesn't show any urgency, and the round ends, and I scored at 30-27. Matyshenko, I think pretty much everyone did. It might have been 29-28, but
it was 29-28, 29-28, 30-27.
Yeah. So, but either way, he couldn't be feeling comfortable, and he showed no urgency. And, not a good showing for Pedro Hizzo.
Not at all.
A guy that a lot of people thought he beat Randy Couture in their first fight. He should have been the champion. Yeah. I didn't. I gave it to Couture, but a very close fight. And not a good showing.
Not at all. Agreed. Also, not really a great fight. We
go into a good fight.
Fantastic fight. We have Phil Baroni taking on Matt Lindland. Also goes to a decision, 29-28 across the board.
Which Matt Lindland are you talking about? Are you talking about Olympic silver medalist Matt Lindland, Olympic gold medalist Matt Lindland?
Listen, I'm talking about the gold medalist Matt Lindland beating Phil Baroni. What was it? The Bronx, but what is his name? I cannot remember. What is it?
The New York Badass.
The New York Badass. I was going to say the Bronx Badass. The New York Badass himself.
He's from Long Island.
At the moment he beat Phil Baroni, that medal got upgraded from silver to gold. For the second time. This is the second time he's beat him. This is 2 in a row. So,
did you get the pre-talk where he said, I'm going to beat him for a second time and 2 strikes, you're out.
Yeah, I love that.
In my book.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, I'm glad, Matt. Thanks. Didn't you just talk to him the other day?
Yeah, I did.
Don't you wish you could have watched this beforehand and brought that up to him?
Yeah.
Is 2 strikes you're out still in your book?
I absolutely love Matt Lindland. Like, we talked wrestling for an hour straight. Just a wicked great dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, great dude. Just not a trash talker. No. 2 strikes and you're out. At least in my book.
At least in my book. This is a very good fight. You're going to give the play-by-play, but I always give my kind of overarching opinion of the fight. What I really, really enjoyed about this fight is, I think, what I enjoy in it. Like, this was a perfect amalgamation of what I like to see in an MMA fight, which is one guy's clearly winning, but it feels like at any second
that's right.
he could lose.
That's right.
And I like those kind of fights where I'm just like, every time Matt Lindland had to stand across from Phil Baroni, it didn't matter how tired Phil Baroni was, he was landing the much harder, crisper shots, and he was truly landing them. I don't know if Lindland was ever... I think he got dazed a couple times.
He did. I think he got dazed in the first.
I don't think he was ever in any real danger, but he definitely got dazed a time or two. And right at the end, I mean, it was right up and we have 10 seconds left, and I'm going, Phil Baroni could win this fight.
It's a good fight. This is a good. So let me give some first round. Baroni opens up with a nice clean shot to start the fight. Lindland shoots, can't get Baroni down. Baroni defends it just by blasting the body. Lindland kind of changes the corner, ends up getting the takedown from the body lock. Baroni works up to his feet without much control, hits Lindland with a shot that kind of buckles his legs.
Yep.
Lindland does close the distance, grabs the clinch, starts letting off some of his own ground and pound. Dirty boxing, which I thought was like the most impressive thing for Lindland, that he started showing some striking.
Yep.
Then he hits this beautiful high crotch where he lifts him square in the air and slams him, and then unloads at the end of the round. Was really good ground and pound for Matt Lindland.
Yep.
10-9 round for Matt Lindland. Second round, they both start exchanging the feet with actually both guys hitting punches. Phil Baroni makes a mistake of trying to headlock, which headlocks do not work against good wrestlers.
Yep.
Headlocks do not work against good high school wrestlers, like not good junior high wrestlers. They sure as hell don't work against Olympic silver medalists.
Possibly gold medalists, we're not sure.
And Ken Shamrock's own gold medalist. Baroni started looking gassed. He missed the headlock, ended up on body, started looking gassed. Lindland this is his best round. He moves to the crucifix. He starts unloading heavy shots. Baroni eventually is able to break free, scrambles to his feet, gives up his back. Lindland goes for a rear naked choke. Kind of overextends, get off balance. Baroni escapes and actually takes as he scrambles, takes Lindland down with the double, but Lindland immediately reverses it, takes his back. Good ground and pound. The round ends, and it's all Lindland's up 2 rounds to nothing, no brainer. Lindland starts opening up the third round on the feet, but then Baroni backs him up with a big right hand, a left hook. Lindland gets the takedown. Ground and pound against the cage, big elbows. Like, these are good ground and pound. And for some reason, John McCarthy just decides to stand him up.
Yeah,
like, I don't know why. He just stands him up. He's beat him. He kept saying, and this is the thing where they were really trying to sell that you can't sit in someone's guard in ground and pound. And that's like the theme of the night. You can't sit in someone's guard. You have to keep trying to advance. And Lindland's sitting in his guard and just landing good shots. So John McCarthy stands him up.
But what made it worse, it wasn't that he stood him up. That was bad. But what made it worse was how much praise, Mike Goldberg and Ken Shamrock were then giving him. Like, man, what a great move there to be able to see that. And it's like, what are you guys talking about? That was a terrible stand-up. Yeah.
And there was about a minute and a half left in the fight, and
egregious.
On his way. Like they gave Barone a shot. So when they stand it back up, Barone hits Lindland with a pretty good shot. Lindland clinches. He starts landing some dirty boxing. He goes for a single, but now it looks like the tide has turned. With Lindland starting to gas, he goes for a single, gets stuck underneath, and Barone starts landing these hammer fists that look hard. Lindland kind of works back up to his feet, clinches. They both kind of get some shots. Then Lindland goes in for a single with about 20-ish, 25 seconds left. Boy. He holds on underneath, completely gassed. And Phil Barone ends the fight basically standing on on his knees, and he's winging his arms back and forth, hard punches to the side of Lindland's ring for about 20 seconds straight. They were brutal.
It's a crazy end to a fight because it's like I'm watching that going. I wish if I could ask Matt Lindland a question right now. Maybe you could text him for me.
I should have asked him that, yeah.
If I can ask Matt Lindland a question right now, the question I'd ask him was, how bad did that hurt 3 days later?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, not that night might not hurt.
No, but 3 days later, when you were trying to piss, how bad did that hurt?
When you're laying in bed and you go to roll over or something. Oh, God, that must have hurt. So I actually thought Barone stole the round. Like that, just that last 20 seconds stole the round. So I scored at 29-28 for Lindland. I thought there was no controversy, clearly 29-28. Or at least 2 rounds clearly for Lindland. But it was a fun fight.
It was. I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. Moving up to BJ Penn Kaluno, this is a rematch. Their first fight only lasted a few seconds. So I guess, hey, why not go and have it again? And listen.
And this is the end of the tournament. Remember, we had a tournament to get there.
We did, yes. So
tournament for the vacant title, or BJ's defending his title that we've never seen him win yet, according to Ken Shamrock.
That's it. You got to beat the champ.
Another fun fight.
So BJ Penn Kaluno, good fight. How do you feel? Don't give a play-by-play, but for this one because it's 5 rounds.
Okay.
But give me, how do you feel about the decision, and then hit the high points of the fight.
Okay, so I scored it 3 rounds to 2 for BJ Penn.
Same.
I scored the first, the fourth, and the fifth.
Same. Okay, so we're literally identical.
Okay. I believe it was the 4th round was close.
Okay, so
to me, it comes down to the 4th round. Who won that round wins the fight.
What do you think, without looking, what do you think the draw round was?
I have no freaking clue, and that's been the mystery of MMA for years. So, one judge scored at 48-47 for BJ Penn, which is what I had. One judge scored at 48-47 for Kaluno, which is not a bad scorecard. Ken Shamrock and Mike Goldberg made it seem like BJ Penn walked away with this. He did not. Both guys had some good moments. Both guys landed takedowns. Both guys landed on the feet. BJ Penn did have Kaluno's back a lot, but Kaluno kind of was baiting him to take it because he kept reversing the position and getting on top. Like he did well when BJ just held side control from on top, he was in a better position than when they scrambled and BJ took his back. Every time Kaluno would reverse it, end up on top. Like he wanted that position. He wanted him to take his back. But really, really close fight. Like this is the fight. Like I've been saying this for years. I've always thought BJ Penn was he's had moments of absolute brilliance where he's seen as high, but there is fights where people just seem to forget and erase from their memories of BJ Penn, and this is like the number one. Like he couldn't beat Kaluno a second time. It was how many times you saw me and Fred? Fred loves BJ Penn. We go at it, and I'm like, dude, got to draw with Kaluno. His first 2 times challenging for the UFC lightweight title, he lost and then got a draw. Like people forget that. The first third of his career, he was kind of an underachiever.
Yeah,
So. It's a fun fight to rewatch. like I said, though he got a draw, I do believe he should have won.
Now we're saying
no
first,
robbery.
fourth, and
This
fifth,
is
correct?
not a robbery.
First, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, I gave the fourth and fifth. Like so after the third round, it looked like Caol Luna was taking over. He was landing a lot of takedowns. He kept getting that double underhooks and like body lock takedown, and he was landing. And one time he slammed BJ Penn. He looked like he was taking over. And then BJ Penn found a second win, and I thought he won the fourth and fifth. But the fourth round's close. That said, to give usually it's a 47-47 is usually where you get the draw, because it's a 47-47 means one guy won 2 rounds, the other guy won 3 rounds, but the guy who won 2 rounds got a 10-8 round. That's usually, if you get a draw, what it is. 48-48 means both guys won 2 rounds each, and then someone gave a 10-10 round.
Yeah, so
she's like, you're not really supposed to do.
So,
like, that's like such a wimpy thing to do.
Right.
Like, I don't know who won. I'll just do a draw.
So, if you go on Fight Metric, or not Fight Metric, if you go on MMA Decisions, there's only been 9 cards submitted by fans. So, not a lot of cards submitted to pull from, but I'll give you the stats anyway. There are no media scores outside of Fight Metric, where they just basically compile metrics and generate a score. So, according to Fight Metric, it was 49-46 Penn, which isn't accurate, but regardless, that's according to Fight Metric. So, round 1 of the 9 cards submitted, basically 90% Penn, and 10% no. They haven't. Nobody of the 9 cards said that Penn won a round. 8 people said it was Penn 10-9, and 1 person said Penn 10-8.
What? I don't know what you guys are seeing.
I'm on MMA Decisions on this fight.
I just don't know. I'm on the fight. What do I see when people score?
You have to go down to show scorecards.
I see your scorecard.
You have to just kind of look around. Underneath it'll say show scorecards.
Okay.
So round 2, we have 66.
That was definitely not a 10-8 round.
No, I know. I agree. We have 66% Uno, 33% Penn. Round 3, you have 77% Uno, 22% Penn. Round 4, you have 77% Penn, and then you have basically 1 person that said a draw, 1 person that said Uno. So you have 7 people that said Penn, 1 draw, 1 Uno. And then round 5, you have 90% Penn, 10% Uno, essentially. So, I guess round 4 really is the question. So I agree. I think that was a bit of a. I'm trying to think of a word because the only words I can think of are really not safe for work. You
gotta check. You gotta check the numbers again, my man.
Commit to something.
No, you got. So 100% of the people did give it to BJ Penn
on round 1.
100% their scorecard gave it to BJ Penn. Total.
No, I know. I'm aware.
But I'm just saying you got to check it again. You said 9 scorecards. There is 10 scorecards now.
Hey, there it is.
Another one for 48-47 Penn. But that said, it is not a robbery. The 4th round to me is a toss-up.
Yeah, so. I mean the 4th round. I just hate calling it a draw. It's just like commit to something, dude. Say
what happens?
Who
the guy
won?
Gave
Penn or Uno?
Yeah, the guy gave a 10-10 round.
Yeah,
and BJ Penn. And wait. The UFC does not crown a champion in the lightweight division for 4 years. They're like, we're not going to make a champion for 4 years. Think about it. In today's MMA, and I know we're not supposed to really talk about where we are right now, but the glamour division in MMA is lightweight. And for 4 years, we just see you later. Not until Sean Shark beats Kenny Florian 4 years later do we have a champion.
That's crazy. That is really weird to think about.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the heavyweight fight between Frank Mir and Tank Abbott. A lot to talk about in this fight. It lasts for 46 seconds. Frank Mir defeats Tank Abbott by submission, but not just any submission. He defeats him by a toe hold, the only toe hold in UFC history.
That's right.
And let me give you real quick. Normally, you are the how do I put it? Normally, you are the deep cut stats guy. But I'm going to be the deep cuts stats guy for a second.
Let's hear it.
Okay, give me 1 second because I want to find the actual fight.
While you're looking up the fight, I just want to say this. While this is the only toe hold in UFC history, I don't know. While it's always fun to see a submission we don't often see, I want to never see another toe hold. I want to be Frank Mir submitting Tank Abbott as the only toe hold in UFC history forever.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Let's get Tank Abbott in the record books. Come on.
Listen, here's while I'm trying to find this, because I know I can find it. While I'm trying to find this, could there have been a worse? You putting your entire promotion behind Tank Abbott. The UFC is all in on Tank Abbott. And then he taps because someone twisted his toe. I know there's more to it than that. I am aware.
Someone twisted his toe.
But it's like, how? Like, could that have gone any worse?
No. So this reminded me of another fight that had Frank Mir in it. Now, not the other fight was way more competitive. But think about a professional wrestler coming to MMA, which obviously Tank Abbott had the MMA career, but a guy come over from getting the hype because of the professional wrestling, comes into MMA, his debut, he faces Frank Mir and gets submitted in the first round.
All right,
I don't think Brock Lesnar and Tank Abbott gets compared to each other often.
Right.
But there you go, Tank. I just want to give Tank Abbott to Brock Lesnar.
There you go. All right, I found what I was looking for.
All right.
Call me Deep Cut Steel, all right? So there's only been one toe hold submission in UFC history. There has also been one toe hold submission in Bellator. Okay? So I would give you who won. That was Marcin Held.
Okay.
The person he defeated by toe hold is on this card.
Look at you on this card.
Deep cut, baby.
Tank Abbott. No.
Yeah, right.
UFC 41.
I would give you a hint.
No, don't give me a hint. Don't give me a hint. Okay, so we're eliminating Tim Sylvia, Rico Rodriguez, all the heavyweights.
Yep.
BJ Penn, Cal Uno.
Definitely wasn't them, right?
Sarah, Rich Clemente. There you go. Good for you, man.
Bellator 81, November 16th, 2012. Marcin Held by submission toe hold.
I don't remember that fight at all, but
I'll have to go back and watch that now.
So let's we're gonna move on to the main event, but just to give you this, this fight's 46 seconds, fun to watch, but get it on UFC Fight Pass, watch it, and just watch all the hype. They were acting like Frank Mir was going to get murdered by Tank Abbott. Like it was inevitable. I remember this, and I was a Tank Abbott guy. I loved Tank Abbott. The first fight I ever saw, you guys heard me say that a million times. The first fight I ever saw was Tank Abbott knocking a Samoan guy out. What was his name? Tatua.
The bus driver.
No. It was the big, like 300 pounds.
It was the legit one, yeah.
It's the one where he taunts the guy when he's unconscious.
Oh,
That's
my
the first
gosh.
MMA fight I ever saw. First MMA fight I ever saw was Tank Abbott's debut. I remember I got a full context. At this time, so this is one of the fights I did not watch this live. I was in Iraq. I was in Iraq at this time. But I remember we used to get it was another guy over there sees with me that was a big MMA fan, and then he ended up getting Full Contact Fighter magazine coming. And when they announced that Frank Mir was going to take on Tank Abbott, this guy was like so excited to have Tank Abbott back, and I was like, dude, Frank Mir's going to beat him. He's going to beat him easily.
Right.
And yeah, so I was listen, I get a lot of predictions wrong, but that one, and I can't I can't verify that I was telling everybody who would listen that Frank Mir would beat Tank Abbott easily. I can't verify it, but take me for my word.
I mean,
it's like one of the easiest fights in history to predict. And
certainly
Frank
in
Mir
hindsight.
Frank Mir was not the Frank Mir. I mean, he was coming. He ended up losing Ian Freeman. This is not. This is not the best moment for him coming in. But people forgot how bad Tank Abbott was.
Well, I think what also, and obviously I know this, but as we're going through this is now the second Frank Mir fight I believe we've seen. I'm pretty sure, possibly third, but I think second.
No, he's had it. Yeah, he lost to Ian Freeman. Remember?
Yeah. But I was saying how many. I was trying to remember how many fights in the UFC he had. Oh my gosh! The other thing that they did when he beat Roberto Trevor, Pete Williams, then lost that. He was a big upset against Ian Freeman, and then Tank Abbott. Okay, so this was his fourth UFC fight.
His next one's a really memorable one, but I'm not going to give that one away.
I know that one as well.
Okay.
Actually, I do know how that one ends.
Actually, his next three are all memorable.
Well, and I think now because when I watched this fight in Frank Mir, I pulled up his wiki and was looking around.
Okay.
And I guess what I got reminded of is something that again I knew, but it's good to get reminded every once in a while, which is just how dangerous Frank Mir was, BJJ wise. I mean,
how mean he was.
Too.
He wanted to break. I mean, he breaks Tim Sylvia's arm. He breaks Antonio Nogueira's arm. He wants to hurt you. He don't care about breaking your arm. Some guys will get to that point and then stop. Not Frank Mir. Frank Mir will gladly break your arm.
It's crazy to think about. But it's like you got to build up that mystique so that way people tap before they're ready to tap because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't.
Yeah, so let me just say, can we just say this real quick about what happened with, and we'll bring up the main event. There's not much to talk about the main event.
No.
But Frank Mir, just to give a little quick play-by, Frank Mir shoots a double. Tank Abbott actually sprawls, hits him with the right hand. Mir backs up, shoots in again, pulls guard, goes immediately to a triangle. Well, Tank tries to defend the triangle. He rolls underneath, stretches out almost like a Suloev stretch, gets the leg, changes it to the ankle lock, and then Tank Abbott taps, but it's from a weird angle. You can't really see him tapping. And I don't remember. I think it was Larry Landless, or maybe it was Big John. I don't remember who it was. Jumps in and stops the fight. That was it.
It was crazy, man. It's crazy to watch this in real time and as a part of the whole card. If you watch this by itself, it's a novelty. Because you're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Only toe hold submission. Oh, it's crazy. You got a young Frank Mir and an older Tank Abbott. It's a novelty. When you watch it in the context of the entire card, realizing how much promotion the UFC had behind Tank Abbott, by far the most on this card, and it's not even close, it really paints it in a new light. Just how crazy this is. Because, again, I can't think of a worse... from a UFC, you're Dana White.
But
you
got to remember this. But you got to remember, go back one card. What was the fight that headlined the last card, which at that time was by far the biggest UFC?
Tito Ortiz and Frank Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. Well, I keep saying Frank.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Because he's the better Shamrock.
Right.
Anyways, where was Ken coming from? I mean, he fought in Pride.
Oh, he's coming from the
WWF world.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of people watch WWF, also watch WCW, so they might know Tank Abbott. So it was actually a pretty smart, strategic move to put Tank and be the promotion on the next card.
Listen, I agree. I do agree. But you're Dana White. Put on the Dana White bald cap for me, all right? Yeah. Although, to be fair, back then he had hair. But put on the Dana White bald cap for me. You're watching that. You know the promotion you put into Tank. And you're like, listen, even if he loses, whatever. But then that happens.
Yeah.
You have to be like, shit. Really? That, of all things, that's how the fight ends? Really? It wasn't even a leg lock. It's a toast. He's grabbing your feet. What are you doing? Now, by the way, I would tap instantaneously.
Absolutely.
If Frank Mir grabbed Frank Mir got anywhere near my toes, I'm done.
Yeah. I can't even have my kids touch my feet. I'll laugh from tickling. But there you go. This if we ever do a MMA Yesterday trivia question, where's Keith's tickle spot? It's my feet.
There it is, buddy.
There you go.
Don't tell Rex Ryan.
This there's the bonus comment that we should put that on Patreon. Just
there it is.
I can't believe we're going this long in UFC 40. I think we went longer on UFC 41 than we did on UFC 40.
Yeah, we're about to be. We're coming up on an hour.
I think that's because both of us. It's late while we're taping this. I think we're both like tired and giddy, and that's what's going on right now.
Right.
So, I don't even know what I was going to say about Tank. Oh, but yeah, come on, matchmakers. How could you not realize like, oh, Tank Abbott, a guy who's always struggled on the ground. Oh, let's put it against a guy who's known for his submissions. Like, so Tank Abbott fights Cabbage Correa. That's a famous fight. Like, didn't that fight make sense? Like, oh, we just saw Cabbage Correa get hit with everything. He wants to brawl. Let's put him against Tank.
Yeah. Why Frank Mir?
Why Frank? Like, if you were looking at that time, the heavyweight division, the UFC's roster at heavyweight, could you pick a worse person than Frank Mir?
I guess he's
a worse pick.
I guess he's coming off a loss, so maybe they're thinking he's very young in his career. Tank has the experience. Did you also notice? And we got to move on to the next fight. But did you also notice?
Well, this is the main event. So.
When they introduced Tank Abbott, did you notice that they did an old school UFC thing? Did you catch this? Think about what they used to do. Old school UFC, not that. You're in the right path though. What did they used to do all the time? UFC 1 through probably 15.
Did they say his name twice? Like Tank Abbott? No?
I do miss that. No, they gave his Street Fighter record.
Oh, Street Fighter.
250-5 in the streets or whatever it was. Yeah. They did.
You can.
Remember how they used to do that for everybody? Yeah. They'd be like, in an undefeated Street Fighter, 136-0. Like, what?
I did
where
not
are you
catch
getting that
That's
information
fantastic.
from? Is that on Tapology? Like, where are you guys getting that from?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Makahua, not Makahua. Yeah, Makahua is like 400-0 on the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
Hickson Gracie's 200-0.
Chael Sonnen's at 1,000.
Well, Chael Sonnen is undefeated no matter where he is.
That's what I'm saying. He's 1,000 fights deep now.
Hell, Frank Duke lied so much they made a movie about it.
Yeah, exactly. Bloodsport.
Literally,
right?
He's just, guys, spoiler, I hate to ruin. Bloodsport is not a true story. It is a 100% lie from a phony, department store karate guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he got beat up by, what's his name? He got beat up by the guy who got beat up at UFC 1. Zane Frazier. He got beat up by Zane Frazier. He did not go over to Japan.
Wait a minute, was Zane Frazier boxing glove guy?
No. Zane Frazier was the guy who got beat. Guy who gassed out because he had he walked through the mist in the fog.
Oh my God! Yes.
The guy who that's beat up. That's the guy who beat up the unbelievable Frank Duke. That's the John Claude Van Damme character in Bloodsport. No, he didn't go over to the Kumite and beat guys to death. We're way off topic now. Anyway,
right. All right.
This is another. Put that in Patreon too.
Yeah, there it is. Main event. We have another title fight. This time at heavyweight. You have champion Rico Rodriguez taking on Tim Sylvia. Foregone conclusion. Rico Rodriguez is going to walk in there, beat the tail off Tim Sylvia. 5-1 favorite. Why is this fight even happening? 8-1 favorite. Why is this fight even happening? Oh shit! Tim Sylvia just won.
Yes, I love how you set this up because listen, if anybody, those MMA on point guys, I love those guys. If they're listening, if you want forgotten upsets or top 10 forgotten upsets or top 10 fights that don't seem like upsets now, but they were at the time.
Yeah,
this one's way up there. This is one of those fights that because of where both their careers change courses.
Tim Sylvia's coming off a fight against Cabbage
Correa. He has one win in the UFC.
Which was an awesome fight, don't get me wrong.
Fantastic. He actually got hurt. Remember, he got hurt by Cabbage Correa. Almost got knocked out by Cabbage Correa. Yeah.
That is the fight that he is, coming off of. Rico Rodriguez is coming off a win against Randy Couture. So it's like this is a foregone conclusion. Who's going to win this fight? And I also love Mr. Mustache from the beginning, the guy from USA Today, when he's giving his and I know I'm giving the better shit, but at the beginning when he's giving his predictions, he didn't give the reason why he was picking Rico Rodriguez versus Tim Sylvia. The only thing he said, I don't know if you remember this, his only argument was that Tim Sylvia was tall. And the taller they are, the harder they fall.
Harder they fall, yes.
That was it. That was his whole. It sounded like when I used to do the breakdown show. Like that was his whole argument. Listen, if you can't make fun of yourself, then
that's fair enough. So I'm going to give a quick play. This is not long. So basically, the fight starts and Rico shoots for a takedown. Right, Tim Sylvia stops it, kind of throws him across the cage. Rico does like the butt scoot on his back. Sylvia lets him up. This happens 2 or 3 times where Rico shoots in for a takedown. He gets stuffed. Either Tim Sylvia stands up or he kind of sits in his ground and pounds a little bit and lets him up. Eventually, they get back to the feet. Rico Rodriguez goes to throw a leg kick and he gets absolutely blasted by right hand. He falls to his back. But this time, Tim Sylvia doesn't just let him stand back up. Tim Sylvia rushes in and throws one punch from on top that puts Rico Rodriguez out. He's unconscious. And Tim Sylvia is the new UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
Yep. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
And this is what I love. The entire Miletich team like runs in the cage, and they got a whole bunch of guys like weighing 170 and below picking up. They pick up Tim Sylvia, who's 280 or and he had to weigh 265, but probably 280 at this point. They pick him up, and I swear his feet is like 4 inches off the ground.
Right.
Like guys who are 5'9" shouldn't try to pick up guys who's 6'9".
It's I really, really did like. I understood why Rico Rodriguez was such a heavy favorite. Like, I'm not a mark. I get it. It's funny now, but at the time, I get it.
Nobody was picking Tim Sylvia. This I remember.
Like, I'm trying to think of what to even
Rico
compare.
Rodriguez. Everybody was taking Rico Rodriguez, decorated grappler. Who people were complaining about Tim Sylvia getting the shot. There was I remember this like yesterday. I remember people saying, "Well, why isn't Tank fighting for the title?"
Exactly right.
He's coming back. He should fight Rico, which would listen. Well, as we were going through the roster of a guy's worst options of Frank Mir, the only other guy might be Rico Rodriguez. But yeah, Rico Rodriguez. But what happens is hindsight. Both their careers could take off in completely different directions. Rico becomes a drug addict, and he's on celebrity rehab, and then he gains like 400 pounds, which Tim Sylvia eventually gains like 400 pounds too. But that was much, much later. But Tim Sylvia defends the belt. He goes on to win the belt the second time.
Well, then he has
the belt.
For a while. He has the most title defenses in heavyweight history. Correct? For
a little bit, yeah. So they went different directions. So
yeah. All right. Anything else on this card besides the grade?
Let's do a quick trending up, trending down.
Trending down.
Me trending up. Obviously Tim Sylvia. He was supposed to lose. Rico's coming in there. He's the biggest star in the sport. Tito Ortiz is his corner man. He's the Team Punishment, the most popular team at the time with 2 champions. Yep. He's supposed to be like the heavyweight Tito. He's got boxing great Felix Trinidad, was either world champion at that time.
He was in the audience.
Yep. He's in his corner coming down with the cage. He's supposed to be a warm up fight for him, and Tim Sylvia wins with so. So that's why for trending up. Trending down.
Well, the only other trending up would be for me, Frank Mir, just because of the spotlight that was put on that fight, and then the way that he won is like holy shit, and that's crazy.
Sure. So trending down,
Pedro Rizzo.
No, I originally wrote that, but as we were thinking, and UFC's plans was trending down. They wanted Rico to win, he lost. They wanted Tank to win, they lost. They wanted to crown a lightweight champion, they lost. That didn't happen. So their plans were ruined. So I'll say their plans were trending down.
I like that. If I'm going to pick an actual fighter, I'll go either Pedro Rizzo or BJ Penn.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro was, he lost 4 out of 5 back-to-back losses. I thought we talked about this when he lost to Gam McGee. I thought he'd quit in that fight. So yeah, not good for The Rock.
Anything else on this fight?
Overall grade?
I'm going to give it like a like a C.
Oh, wow! I'm much higher.
I'll go C plus. I'll go C plus.
Oh, I'm going way. I was giving it. I wrote down A minus. I thought it was a good card.
Wow.
I thought because even the fights, like even though it was a draw, Cal Luna BJ Penn's a fun fight. Matt Lillin, Phil Baroni is a fun. The only fight that wasn't entertaining was Matashenko and Pedro Hizzo.
All right, I'll go B minus.
I went A minus.
I'll go B minus.
All right.
I just wasn't. It's just part of it's because of how good last week's card was.
Yeah, I give that an A.
You know, and I'm watching this like a week. You know, last week, this week. So it's like last week was just so good and I gave that an A. So it's
So if Ken Shamrock was doing this show with you, he'd be like, "All right, guys, we get out of here. I gave an A minus. Kyle gave it an A plus. We get out of here."
Exactly. There it is.
I give an A minus. Kyle said it's the greatest card in the history of
there it is.
The greatest moment in sports history.
Listen, let me give the audience a little bit more Patreon information. When I pulled up my Skype,
guys, we do not have a Patreon.
We don't.
Which is a joke.
When I pulled up my Skype, it for whatever reason it like inverted like the calls, so it shows the first calls I made on Skype. Through the LoudMouth Skype, which is what I'm on. So I recorded my first 3 interviews, 2 on 10/30/2016, and then the third one on 10/31/2016, and then I recorded my 4th interview on November 5th. So let's see if you could dig into your memory bank.
Okay.
I know you can at least name the first 2. You should be able to. Who are my first 2 interviews?
Okay. The local guy from Massachusetts. Same guy who was my first interview. We both had the same person as our first interviews, which is crazy. Chuck O'Neil.
Chuck O'Neil was one. Now, funny enough, Chuck O'Neil was the first episode. However, he's not my first interview. My first interview I released later. The interview that I recorded on 10/30 the day prior was actually Justin Ledet. That was the first interview I ever did. And what was weird about that interview is we did a 3-man interview where I asked questions, stood up, walked away, and then the second person sat down. And it was so awkward because the problem was all 3 interviews, even though it's one interview, they all would start the same. Hey, man, what's up? Oh, cool. Yeah. No, me too. Like they'd all start the same, even though I just did that prior. But it's like it was so. That was such a.
You ask him how he's doing, and he's like, "I'm doing great." And then the next guy asks him, he just changes. You know what? I'm not doing great at all. I'm not doing fine at all. Like,
and then the next guy, doing great again. So
what the hell does that have to do with UFC 41?
I have no idea. So Justin Ledet first interview, but it wasn't the first release. Chuck O'Neil. Okay, can you think of the other 2?
Sammy Alvey.
Nope. So the other one was Peter Barrett.
Oh yeah, there you
also
go.
New England guy.
New addition to the UFC.
And then my 4th one was I'm trying to think what Fred keeps calling this guy. I was gonna call him by whatever name Fred calls him, and I can't remember what it was. My 4th interview was Daryl Horcher, who was coming now.
Yeah.
I was
almost died in a car accident.
I was like his first interview after that accident. Yeah. You know, and you got to think he's coming off of a loss to Habib on short notice, but did better than I think people expected.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then he didn't do well, but he lasted a lot longer than people thought he'd be able to. Took it on super short notice. You know, against one of the best in the world. And then, 2 months after, he almost dies in a motorcycle crash. So,
There's no way anybody, bad enough that when they see how long this is the longest episode in MMA, who would have thought the longest episode in MMA Yesterday
UFC 41.
UFC 41.
Yeah, right, of all things.
And if they've made it this far, there's no way. Listen, I'll prove it. We will send you a LoudMouth bumper sticker.
No. Listen, I'll one up it. I'll one up it.
Okay. All right. Don't we offer him like $1,000?
No. If you, the first person to comment that they're still listening at this point, which no one's still listening, the first person to comment that you are still listening, I will Venmo you $20. There's
$20?
$20. There's no way that anyone's still listening to this shit. And don't you cheat and try to get your friends $20.
I'm gonna have my wife's.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you start cheating. If anyone's still listening to this nonsense,
I will not Venmo you $20, but I'll send you a LoudMouth. I think it's a bumper sticker or a reflection thing. I don't know. We have some kind of sticker thing, but I'll send you that if you hit me up on Twitter and say, answer this question.
Can you send me one, by the way? Because I would love one.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Kyle's first interview was with who? You just tweet me the answer, and I'll send you some LoudMouth. All we have is bumper stickers. We have nothing else.
And we'll do first interview period, not first released.
Listen, if they just
first
tweet
interview
me any
period.
Of the names, honestly, they tweet me any of the names we talked about, I'll send them one.
Okay, there it is.
UFC 42 is the next card.
Yep, we have sudden impact.
Matt Hughes versus defending his belt against Sean Shirk, and Robbie Lawler versus Pete Spratt.
Yep, and then we have Cabbage is back on this card. We have an Evan Tanner Rich Franklin fight. We have a Dwayne Ludwig sighting, and we have Mark Ware in the prelims.
Wow, is that wow? That's Rich Franklin's debut.
It is.
UFC. Rich Franklin's debut. Yep. Yep. So that's UFC 42.
Oh, listen to this. UFC 42. Joe Rogan does the lead commentary and was joined by color commentator Phil Baroni with further analysis by Eddie Bravo.
There you go. That's enough to change.
If that doesn't intrigue you to watch this card, then I don't know what will. So there it is. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to next week's show. So sorry it's so long, guys. No one's listening to what I'm saying.
Sometimes we get silly.
Babadoo, babadoo, babadoo. No one's listening. We'll see you next week.